We often get asked about accessories within our shaker cabinetry. So a couple of the main accessories that we put in are rollouts as well as trash kits. So we thought it would be a good idea to kind of show a couple of different options putting accessories in cabinets. And in front of us we have the trash kit. You want to take us through how to assemble one of these?
Definitely, not a problem. These are definitely one of our most requested accessories to put into one of our cabinets. Pretty straightforward, simple design. It's very similar to a drawer design, so
okay,
we'll run through those steps right now.
So this is a trash kit that holds two separate waste bins, and it gets installed in a base cabinet. So
yes, and these actually are specific to a specific size of cabinet, which would be the B18.
The B18, okay. So we're taking a traditional B18, putting a trash kit in it, and then that would be your typical kind of BWK scenario. Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Perfect. Let's see what you got.
So first thing we do here is we'll unbox it. We'll check all of our parts as normal. We'll grab our door.
And specific to this particular kit, it doesn't come with a new door. So you were going to use the traditional door that still has the cup holes.
Definitely.
So they actually sell a nice white cap that can cap those if somebody wants to cover them up.
Definitely.
Most people don't care, but in the case that you don't like that cup hinge showing, or the hole at least, you can cover it with one of the caps.
Definitely, I would definitely agree with something like that.
Okay, perfect.
Typically, when we're installing these in our shop, we actually have a jig that we use. Something like this, I would definitely recommend for any installer or any person that is in cabinetry, whether you're putting on handles or just aligning drawer boxes, stuff like that. Jigs are perfect if you're doing it in repetition.
Saves you a lot of heartache.
Definitely.
And
so,
labor.
For us, we actually use the jig. I actually placed it, and then I actually lined it out so that I can give direct measurements. So, on our sides, we're looking at 5/8, 1 5/8 for our side.
So an inch and 5/8 on either side of it.
And then from the bottom up should be about 1 and
looks like 7/8 from
7/8.
Yep, 1 and 7/8. Okay, perfect.
And that would be the perfect position for the alignment of the drawer to be set on the glides and still be positioned correctly onto that frame.
Gotcha.
This is specific only for the mounting plate that we have specifically for this kit. It's a bigger plate just for one, to offset the weight and to make sure that we can mount to the door.
Okay.
For a more of a surface mounting area. We'll lay this onto
that's
our...
going to be basically the front of the drawer box being aligned on the door.
Once we get our panel aligned to our measurements, we'll definitely hold it as tight as we can. I could definitely recommend clamping it if need be as well.
Okay.
We'll hold it tight.
So get it nice and straight.
As with everything that we carry, these holes are also pre-drilled. Definitely helps with the installation of this panel.
These trash kits we almost sell in every single kitchen we do.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
very popular for us.
Exactly. One of our definitely most common accessories. There are some issues that some people have brought up, is that sometimes over time, the wear of the drawer being opened and closed, potentially this panel could be weakened. Okay. I would definitely recommend using the 18 gauge nailer with some 3/4 inch nails.
Okay.
Shooting into your dovetail to mount this a little bit tighter, solidify that bond, and then give it a little bit more durability for you.
And you're going at an angle so that you're kind of toenailing it a little bit to give it more strength.
Exactly.
Okay.
Also too is, I mean, the door is 3/4 inch, you know, I got about a 1/4 inch here. We definitely don't want to risk going through the front
kind
of the
pucker
door.
in the front of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Also, we're going into these dovetails to conceal this. Once we put the drawer together, nobody will ever see any of that.
So you can do that, or if you don't have this nailer, you could potentially put a bracket on the side.
Easily, yep.
Okay.
Now that we have our panel in place, we can build the drawer box assembly. As with every other drawer, we'll start with our side panels.
Okay.
The dovetail fits right in. So we'll place this against the tail, kind of bang it in. Definitely I would recommend something like this for this construction specifically because the panel's so wide that if you hit this side in,
it's going to crack it.
Exactly. It could potentially crack it for one, or you get this in flush and you potentially hit this side, it could bevel that out.
Gotcha.
Just rock it out. So definitely something to keep in mind. So we got that side in. Get set.
And I say anytime you're hammering on a cabinet, you should have a block or something to disperse the weight a little bit so you're not damaging the box and or the door.
Definitely.
So that's something I learned as a cabinet maker for so many years, is just cushion the blow a little bit.
A pinpointed force of impact on that could
Snap a
easily
tail
just
off or
explode.
do, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely make for a longer work day.
Yeah.
So we have our side panels in. This would be our bottom panel for this unit. As you can see, the top is a finished clear coat, and the bottom would be a rough coat.
Okay.
So this is how you
unfinished.
exactly
Okay.
unfinished. So would be your bottom. So place that in. Face
So
down.
we're sliding that right into the dado.
Yep.
And dropping it into place.
Then we'll set our back panel into that dovetail. Onto that. And then, as I recommend with any drawer assembly, I like to turn it on the side to get these set.
Okay.
Just because when you bang it with force, it could potentially shoot through the bottom panel, knock that other side out.
Okay.
Whereas if you have this flat surface, you bang it flat, it's always gonna push right in on that side. Now that we have our drawer box construction, we'll go through with our brad nailer, nail it all together.
Okay.
Typically you could use wood glue in this if you wanted to. It's really all preference and based on what you would prefer to have.
So when we're shooting this in, do we go back to the 1 1/4?
Yes.
Or do we need the 3/4?
I definitely would.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So for shooting these, start at the top, and then we go every other dovetail.
Okay. And then your slight angle towards the drawer face so that you're not blowing out into the drawer.
Exactly, just a safety precaution to make sure that those nails
Just
stay
a couple
in.
degrees, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll continue that to the back. Typically with trash kit box assembly, on the back panel, I usually would skip every other one on a normal drawer box, but for something like this that holds weight, that's going to be utilized, you know, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
I
Shoot
shoot
everything
every dovetail just to ensure that durability.
Okay. Perfect.
Flip it over. Same process on this side. Finish the back. All right. And then once we have our box construction, we would slide in the dividers for these cans. Easy to get flipped upside down. I mean, to the untrained eye, it looks almost identical on each side. There's one side that's actually a 1/4 inch wider than the other side.
Okay.
That 1/4 inch wider side would actually be the back.
Okay.
And then typically, the fastening of this doesn't really matter. You could use screws, nails, however you would want to get it attached.
Okay.
We typically use the brad nailer again. And we'll throw one in the corners, one in the middle, and last corner. And then that's how we would attach that.
Okay. So it locks it in.
Locks it right in there, so your cans aren't going to be wiggling around, or this panel isn't going to be shifting as you're trying to put trash into your. So with the drawer box completed, now it's time to install our drawer locks.
So these are the locks that are going to hold the guide, kind of lock the drawer to the cabinet.
Definitely.
Okay.
So yep, these are going to lock these to the glides. They are actually marked according to the side that they're positioned on. So one left, one right. Being as though we're assembling this drawer upside down, we're going to reverse that. The right's going to go on the left's going to go on the right. So when we go for installation, we place it right side up, they're going to position.
It almost makes sense because that's where the screw holes are at. So as long as you're going into the side, you're okay.
Exactly. The square corner seems to give a little bit more guidance for where the position is. So we'll use the screws that are provided into the bags that the locks come in, and we'll use these already set holes to mount these to the side of the drawer box. We would mount to the bottom, but the panel that we use is a 1/4 inch. So if pretty much any screws that are smaller than a 1/4 inch might not hold durable enough, anything more than that would potentially blow through, and then you'd have to replace this bottom panel.
Yeah, and it's up to you. You can use a Vicks bit number 6 if you want to pre-drill these. It's not necessary if you Just are careful with the drill and not screw it in too hard.
Also too, yeah, with kind of goes with what you're saying, is if you screw these in a little too hard, I mean, these clips are made out of plastic. You over torque it, it's gonna break.
Just breaks it.
Yep.
So again, always a little bit of finesse in cabinetry.
All right, now we have our drawer locks installed. And that would be the finished box
So that's
for
essentially the trash kit.
our BWBK trash kit. All right.
And then that gets installed into the base 18 cabinet.
It sure does. For the installation of the glides that hold that drawer box is what we're gonna next. You know, always having a piece of filler. You know, we recommend 3/4 what we really have in our shop, mainly because it fits a lot of our clearances that we need. It's 3/4 from the side panel to the end of the face frame.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that we use a 3/4 board for, but definitely for this step, it is semi-crucial having 3/4 specifically, just because we have to match that profile on the inside from the side panel to the face frame.
So we're kind of creating paralleled guides
Exactly.
against the end panels themselves.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
we're not
Guiding
out
it
of
to align with the frame.
okay.
So for installation, we'll place our 3/4 block in. We have these feet that are provided in the boxes that come with our BWBK trash kits. That 3/4 board is actually going to serve as the guide for your spacing from the frame to the side panel. Now that we have our 3/4 spacer in there, we're actually going to position these feet all the way to the bottom panel. In the past, we used to position a 3/4, but it actually puts too much strain for the weight of the box onto the guides.
Okay.
It seems to pull that drawer forward instead of back into the cabinet.
Gotcha.
So as we have our 3/4, we will mount these feet. Typically, I'd use 3 screws, just because you want to make sure that that's going to hold up to the weight and the constant use.
It's a relatively big drawer assembly with the weight of the trash cans and the trash in the cans, so it starts to get heavy. So give it a couple extra screws.
Definitely. Just to ensure that that's going to be usable for years to come. All right. We'll reposition our 3/4 on the other side. We'll place our foot.
So as you start to build these cabinets, you start to learn little tricks. So little jigs that you can make, little shims, a certain size. You start to understand the offset of everything.
Definitely.
And then you can give yourself or make yourself little tools that help you do this. So if you're going to build a bunch of different cabinets and you're going to do this repeatedly, make yourself easy. Make a jig. That's the trick for cabinet makers.
Definitely.
Is build a jig, and it helps you get faster and faster and make a higher quality cabinet.
Definitely. In our shop, we utilize jigs for almost every installation of extra accessories, just simply because of the time that it takes to measure, remeasure.
Yep.
You know, if
And you don't get it wrong if you
exactly.
if you sort
Once
it
you
out.
have a jig, it's set, and you can just use it the same. Every one of them is going to be the same after
Gotcha.
that.
Okay. Good tip.
So once we have our feet installed, we will install our rails. This is the same rail construction that we carry for all of our drawer cabinets. All of our drawers are going to be the exact same rails, same depth. They slide and install exactly how our original ones do, with the foot in the back in this groove, as well as the foot that holds the drawer down to make sure that it doesn't lift off of the guide and kind of tip out of your
All right.
cabinet.
So that locks in the back of the drawer.
Yes, sir, it does.
Perfect.
All right, so we fit those in. We position those. Being as though this is an extra accessory, this isn't something that we have pre-drilled holes for.
Okay.
So in the field or however, you're gonna have to pre-drill these holes just to make sure that you're not gonna break your face frame.
Okay.
But other than that, it should install quite easily.
Anytime that you're screwing into hardwood, you should always pre-drill, especially if you're going to use we're using shorter screws here, but ultimately it'll allow you to not crack the hardwood.
Now that our glides are installed, we can install the drawer.
When you're installing these guides, is there a certain offset that you want on the face? Like, do you want to push it back like 1/8 of an inch or so? Do you want to pull it forward to be flush? Is there a trick there?
Yeah, so I would say typically 1/8 of an inch is about where they rest with our pre-drilled holes that come from the manufacturer.
Okay.
So yes, as you go to install these, I would definitely say about 1/8 of an inch.
So it's to match that upper drawer. So
Exactly.
you have alignment in the drawers.
Exactly.
Okay.
It'll all align and they'll all match.
Okay.
Installation of this is exactly the same as our normal drawer installation, whereas we would slide it in. We would make sure that these glides are fitting into that nook in the back of the drawer box, that the feet are being positioned into that hole. Once you hear the click, that's how you know that the locks are engaged. Definitely, I would recommend testing to make sure that those glides have no defects, that it's a smooth close and a soft close. As you can see, there's a little bit of adjustment needed. All of our drawer locks are adjustable. As you can see, this wheel here is our adjustment. If we turn that, that actually is going to raise that drawer box and give us that height we need. There we have it.
Yeah. Looking good. So the trash kit's installed in the cabinet. It's ready to use. We've verified that it's latched. Everything's looking good. And we've got a nice soft close on it.
Definitely.
So that's how you put in a trash kit.
Sure is.
All right, thank you.